James Burns joins me now via Skype. He's the CEO of Alcanna. James, welcome back.
Hey, James, good to see you.
Yes, you too. James, let's go straight to the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Your share price has basically been cut in half since the last time I talked to you. Why is that, and how's it going to go in the other direction?
Well, if I knew why the stock market did things, James, I'd be a multi-billionaire. So things are what they are. Right. Our company is transforming itself from a dividend-paying income stream into a growth company with several lines of business where we intend to grow aggressively in the liquor and cannabis fields. And to do that, we eliminated our dividend because we have much better use for our capital inside our business with our investments. And obviously, people who own the stock as a dividend play, a lot of them sold and went to other yield investments. So that was probably a major reason. The other reason, I think, is, again, as we transform and become very competitive in our market, the liquor business in particular, to get back the market share that had been lost over several years. Our short-term cash flow, we are reinvesting that in margin and in price in the marketplace, and that reflects in quarterly cash flow results. And people who trade based on multiples of cash flow will see that the same metrics they were seeing in our company in previous years weren't there anymore. So those are possibly some of the reasons, James.
Yeah, well, that's an excellent explanation, and I was unaware that your plan had been to become more of a growth through organic story rather than a dividend play. That's what excited me. So I understand, of course, when you announce that you're going to terminate the dividend in pursuit of a growth strategy, that makes perfect sense. And it looks like since you have undertaken that path, I mean, I'm guessing, looking at the chart here, that was announced sometime towards the end of last year, but since the beginning of this year, you've actually, you've added 50–60% in value.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, James. We announced later in December, which was the time we would have paid the dividend for the fourth quarter, that we were not doing so and would not be doing so going forward. So precipitated the sell-off, as we just discussed, on certainly some investors who were interested in a dividend stock. And once that happened, the market seems to have responded favorably since then. You know, we put out some very impressive results since then. We announced our Q4 results, which were excellent in terms of, and as well as all of 2018 in terms of same-store sales. We had same-store sales growth at 7%, which we haven't seen for 6 years. And that was in the face of a declining overall alcohol business in Alberta. So as I said in our analyst call in March, we did exactly what we said we were going to do. We've taken on the competition. We're gaining extremely large market share back to our company. And that's not coming from new customers. Alcohol is a very stable, very mature business. That's coming from existing customers.
Sure.
Of our competition. So we're very pleased. We're on track. Everything that we have planned in our strategy, we're executing, and it's all coming to pass as we predicted. And we're going to stay the course, and we are very confident we'll be successful.
Sure. What percentage of your revenue comes from cannabis?
Oh, it's minuscule now, James. Cannabis is, we had 5 stores open on October 17th and many more under construction. And within 3 weeks, the licenses in here in Alberta were frozen by the regulator due to lack of supply. Your viewers all know what happened in Ontario. Similarly, they went from a wide open market, which will still be there in time, but for the time being, the lottery, the 25 winners, everybody knows the story. So we are working with one of the lottery winners in Toronto, and we have a location at 499 Queen Street West just a little west of Spadina, which is going to be a
Wow,
spectacular store.
that's a great
As soon as
location.
we get it, it's a great location. You know, great. It used to be an American Apparel. It's a great location. Got a large store, 3,000 square feet, and we'll be able to handle the volumes. We've designed it to be very, very transactional in terms of processing the numbers, which we know will be there, given that there's going to be so few stores, at least till December 13th, as per the government's announcement. And they have the option, of course, to open it up earlier if supply comes earlier. But what we see here in Alberta, supply is getting worse, not better at the moment, of the products that people want to buy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's amazing. I mean, when do you anticipate the Queen Street store opening?
Oh, we've been ready to open since the last week of March. We were ready for April the 1st, but we're still the AGCO, the regulator in Ontario, is going through its due diligence process, checking people out and so on. And because the lottery winner, Heather Conlon, she's the owner of the store, but because Alcanna has a services agreement with them and to help her, as well as she's licensing our Nova Cannabis name, the AGCO needs to check us out too. And so we're a bigger company, we've got a lot of directors, officers, and they need to check out every single individual. So that's just taking a little time, and we anticipate it will be within the next couple of weeks, but it's out of our control.
Sure. Well, that's great for the lottery winner to have somebody who's got, an operating business supplying through a distribution channel all kinds of recreational products, let's say. So that's great news. I'm very glad to hear that. That makes me think that at this price, the stock is probably a speculative buy. I mean, 33,000 square feet. I was just at a store in San Diego, which was doing $43 million. Did $43 million in 2018 from that single location, and it was certainly no bigger than 3,000 square feet.
So 3,000 is great, and we've learned from here. We had the first couple of weeks in October when it was crazy, lineups from 10 to 10. Basically, as fast as the tills could process, we sold product until it ran out. We learned from that, and we've designed this store specifically around. We retailers. We have 240 stores. We know how to retail, and we've designed this store specially to handle transactions, high transactions. It's very cool. We contracted a local. It backs on Graffiti Alley behind Queen Street there, so we contracted a local graffiti artist who's has an installation of 6 of his works inside. It's going to be a really, really great store.
Wow, I'll have to go by there.
You only learn by doing things, and we've been doing this now for cannabis retail for 25 years, but cannabis retail since October 17th. And we know our 5 stores, just by what we read of some of the other people in the cannabis retail business publish and disclose, that on a per store basis, our 5 are significantly higher in volume than the other retailers. And that's in the face of extremely limited supply out here in Alberta right now.
Right.
Extremely limited.
Okay, how much, let me ask you this first, James. When did you start paying a dividend in Alcanna?
Oh, the Alcanna, which used to be called Liquor Stores NA, went public, 2010, I believe, and it was an income trust. And maybe even a little earlier than that. But it was an income trust. At the time, I wasn't here then, it was designed strictly to pay out most of its cash flow. Switched to a corporation when income trusts were no longer permitted by the government as a tax vehicle. And it has been paying the dividend ever since. So it was a very different company than the company is today. One of the reasons we changed the name, other than the fact that Liquor Stores was not a particularly interesting name for a company, and because we were getting into the cannabis business, but we also wanted to signal to investors that it's a very different company than, this ain't your father's liquor stores. This is a different vehicle. We're going to be very aggressive in the marketplace and grow the cannabis business as soon as supply and regulations allow us. We're big. We're very, very big. We can handle leases and pay leases while we wait for the supply and regulations to catch up. And we have excellent teams of retailers at all levels of the business, marketing, IT, finance, all in place, doing our 240 stores we already have, a few more, another 50, 100. It's easy for us. It's incremental. We can do it at very low additional cost.
Wow, fantastic. So, James, is it conceivable that upon attainment of a certain equilibrium or continuity in cash flow, and would you return to paying out a dividend?
Oh, you never know, James. You never know. Certainly not for the foreseeable future. You tend to pay dividends as corporations in theory when you don't have investment opportunities inside your business or M&A or whatever, which have an appropriate return on capital. So you return the capital to the shareholders.
Right.
We see with the cannabis business is going to be a tremendous growth vehicle for many, many, many years. So the chances of that business, liquor business, is mature right now. We will have it where we want it to be in Alberta within a year, easily. Province of Ontario has already announced several times, including just last week again, very strongly that it is going to go to some kind of private sector retail model for liquor. So that's a tremendous growth opportunity for us, depending on how those rules are finally decided upon and announced. That with cannabis, we have some great investment opportunities with our cash for quite a long time to come, James. So I don't see paying a dividend anytime soon when we have that kind of ability to put capital to work really, really effectively.
You bet. All right, James. Well, that's a fantastic update. I am looking forward to visiting your store. Please shoot me an email as soon as it's open because we'd love to be there on opening day.
Sure, we will for sure. We'll get about a week's notice, we're told, so we'll have lots of time to let you know, and we welcome you down there.
Great, thanks, James. Well, we'll look forward to speaking to you then. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, James. Nice to talk to you again.
You bet. Bye for now.
Bye.